Thank you for staying with us this morning. Now, let's take you now live to the Kempinski Hotel, Gold Coast City, for the 9th Ghana CEO Summit under the theme, Leading Ghana's Economic Research, Transforming Business and Governance for a Sustainable Futuristic Economy, a Private-Public Sector CEO Dialogue, and a High-Impact Learning.
It comes as no surprise to me that 100% of the companies that we polled understand that 2025 will see a significant demand for AI skills across the continent. The business impact of a lack of AI skills is well understood by 90% of respondents, citing negative impacts on existing projects, failed innovation initiatives, and the inability to take on new projects, and not just IT projects. The most in-demand tech-related skills are AI developers, generative AI skills, AI integration, data cybersecurity skills, and data analytics. Perhaps the most important thing to share is the output and recommendations from this research. We anticipate that organizations will need to spend a lot of their resources in preparing for the AI skills gap, so planning for AI-related skills, understanding the business impact of AI, and comprehending how a lack of skills can impact on different industries and different organizations. We implore you to invest in AI skills development to expand and extend training efforts and cultivate the right mix of AI skills, focusing on AI development, as I said, cloud, cybersecurity, and especially on ensuring that your data is in good shape, because without it, the insights from AI are not going to be as profound as we intend them to be. SAP is making its certifications available to universities across Africa at no cost. So this is a contribution that we're making to the youth of Africa to ensure that each of the technical graduates will have access to SAP certification so that they can work in the industries and countries and enable organizations to take full advantage of AI within the SAP landscape. So to all the members of this esteemed audience, we have shared a link to the long-form version of this research. It's available through ourselves and through the organizers, but we will also post it on LinkedIn and make sure that everyone has access to it.
Thank you, Shiraz. It's useful to have a factual understanding of the lay of the land when it comes to the AI readiness of our region and across Africa. What we do know is that everywhere we look and with every organization that we engage, businesses are looking to get that competitive edge through leaders in the AI space. We also know that AI is reliant on one core ingredient, and that is solid and trusted data. And the one thing that SAP has developed over 53 years of experience across the continent is outstanding data.
Absolutely, Cab. I think I bring a simple message. Africa's growth story must be powered by digital transformation, rooted in local priorities and driven by bold leadership. I will share some real-life use cases across our continent later, but first I'd like to focus on 3 powerful enablers, including data. The first one is unified business applications. Across our continent, we still rely on fragmented systems that limit transparency and limit our ability to bring these applications together. Unified business applications connect critical business functions such as finance, HR, compliance, procurement, and customer engagement. When working optimally, they help us simplify operations, strengthen compliance, and gain a better control of our resources and cash flows. For Ghana, where public and private sector collaboration is vital to the national development, these platforms provide tools to manage infrastructure, agriculture, energy, and public services with a greater efficiency and accountability. Whether it's a local manufacturing company or a state-owned enterprise, integrated systems help leaders focus on impact and not just paperwork. The second aspect is AI and analytics, which you'll hear a lot of today, but it drives informed and agile leadership. In fast-changing times, our ability to make timely, smart, and decisive decisions affects and designs our success. This is where AI and analytics comes in. From the research I've already told you, African organizations already are acutely aware of just how significant the need for AI skills is. It's mission critical for us, and it's not just a tool. Many thought leaders have compared the impact of AI to that of the impact of the Industrial Revolution. So it really is a real shift in the paradigm of the way that the world operates. but I'll caution you to say please and thank you when you talk to ChatGPT, just in case. Practically speaking, AI can help us to predict supply chain risks, detect fraud, manage budgets, understand citizen needs, and even anticipate shifts in commodity prices and socioeconomic conditions. For leaders tasked with navigating constrained resources and rising expectations, analytics can eliminate waste, uncover opportunities, and support evidence-based policing. This is about moving from reactive leadership to proactive governance. And in a continent as dynamic as ours, this agility makes all the difference. Thirdly, as Cameron mentioned, data is of supreme importance. It is the backbone of trust and transformation. And we must talk about data because we are generating more data than ever before, not just in the US and the UK, but throughout Africa. But too often that data remains disconnected, untrusted, and underutilized. So a strong data strategy brings together all of the different sources of data and enables visibility across ministries, agencies, and businesses. It supports compliance, it builds citizen and investor confidence. When health data, for example, is linked to education data, or agricultural insights are linked to climate intelligence, we enable smarter development decisions and planning. Unified data means better financial forecasting, better control of resources, and ultimately better customer and citizen service. Data is the new currency of trust. And for us in Africa, it's not just for governance, it's actually for global competitiveness. So as a basis for us to remain competitive and to grow that competitiveness, we need these three aspects to work in unison. In summary, it means prioritizing digital transformation for organizations and governments across Africa, embracing AI and emerging technologies, but embracing them in the context in which is useful, right? And that's something that we at SAP advocate, is reliability and trust in the information that we're using. Investing in technology to drive sustainable growth with innovation at scale.
Thank you, Shiraz. I really like the way that you've simplified and packaged digital transformation into three clear pillars for the audience. You mentioned earlier that you had some case studies of some companies that are already on this journey. It would be a good idea to bring some of them, illustrate the examples.
Absolutely, and I think we want to talk less about technology and more about the business benefits of each of these scenarios. So I'll start close to home in Nigeria with Energy. Energy is an offer of sustainable solar solutions tailored to address pressing energy needs on the continent. They chose SAP's ERP S/4HANA Cloud for their technology needs. They could no longer support accurate and effective decision-making, and that was the impetus for this decision. So they made the decision to transform and build new capabilities. And according to James Fabola, the CFO at Energy, with our new SAP system, our business can confidently look at a new phase of growth and scalability that could see us play a central role in West Africa's transition to cleaner and more reliable energy. Back to East Africa and Kenya, where Hewatele is a Kenyan social enterprise that supplies life-saving oxygen. Its partner VCERP Consulting helped them to also deploy SAP's ERP S/4HANA. During the peak of the pandemic, they realized that their existing manufacturing model was not sustainable and not scalable. A quote from Dr. Zulfikar Wali, the CEO of Hewatele, says that SAP has always been the blue-chip ERP solution, and considering our need to scale up information, we built out our new production capabilities to take advantage of the strategic decision-making incorporated in these solutions. Are we okay for time, sir? 2 minutes. Got you. The next one is also close to home in Food Concepts in Nigeria. It's a leading FMCG or multi-brand quick service restaurant group that operates some of Nigeria's most popular and well-loved brands, including Chicken Republic and Pie Express. They chose SAP SuccessFactors to transform the human capital management capabilities from the hire to retire and to optimize their core capabilities in the enterprise. They also wanted to address challenges relating to payroll accuracy and processing, and they've done so with SuccessFactors. Finally, back in West Africa with Cashew Coast in Ivory Coast, a producer and distributor of cashew nuts from the Ivory Coast to the EU and to the US. With SAP's rural sourcing management solution, they were able to implement an impactful strategy authenticity and traceability of the system so that they can ensure that the best products are sent to the markets in which they operate. Without granular data, it would have been impossible to implement solid agricultural practices or build targeted community projects for a farmer base of over 5,000 individuals scattered across a radius of 500 kilometers. Thank you very much. Over to you, Cam.
So thank you. And those were great examples. I believe this brings us to the close of our discussion. So if I could summarize, let's reset our institutions, let's reimagine our economies, and let's leverage digital innovation to shape an Africa that is more integrated, more sustainable, and more globally competitive. Esteemed audience members, I thank you for your attention. Both Shiraz and myself and our colleagues will be here through the rest of this amazing event, and we look forward to having the opportunity to engage soon. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
One more time, let's appreciate Team SAP on that masterclass on resetting leadership, business, and the economy, leveraging digital transformation for sustainable growth. They leave us with one very compelling argument that data is certainly the currency for digital transformation, which is why it is not out of place that we explore a very critical theme: how digital transformation and connectivity are central to Ghana's economic reset. We'll do that through a sub-theme: driving digital transformation and connectivity for Ghana's economic reset. Who better to do that for us? The CEO, MTN Ghana. Make welcome Mr. Stephen Lewitz.
Your Excellency, Mr. John Dramani Mahama, President of the Republic of Ghana, good to see you again. Ministers of State, CEOs, good morning, CEOs. You're very quiet. Morning? Members of the media, good morning. I've been told I must keep it under 10 minutes, so we'll see how we go. It's a privilege to see you all again, to speak to you as CEOs, as we are the key pillars of the Ghana economy, creating jobs, which is a key aspect of our lives, generating revenues, driving innovation, and taking calculated risks that fuel the nation's growth. On behalf of MTN Ghana, I also want to acknowledge the importance of this platform in developing and growing the private sector. It is indeed both humbling and energizing to be part of a room filled with visionaries committed to building a more resilient and future-ready Ghana. You heard my topic. It is quite a mouthful. And let me try and see how much I can summarize that down to what are the aspects that are important for us in the economic reset. And the first thing I'd like to talk about is that something called business unusual, not business as usual. There is no gainsaying that our country, like many across the continent, is undergoing transformation. The global economy is changing dramatically and rapidly. You all know this, everything you look at. The challenges we face, be they economic, technological, social, are complex and varied. Rapid technological disruption, inflationary shocks, foreign exchange fluctuations, debt vulnerabilities, and climate change continue to expose structural deficiencies in our sectors. A weak manufacturing sector, largely subsistence agriculture, high youth unemployment, low technology uptake, and regulatory environments that need attention are contributing to recalibration of our economy to make it more resilient, inclusive, innovative, and sustainable for the future. And this is why I would call it business unusual. This is why I believe, like many of you as CEOs, that we welcome the support for the government's economic reset agenda, because business usual would not require a reset. It's encouraging to note for all the challenges we face as a continent and business, there are equal numbers of opportunities with a youthful population and technological advancements that would allow us to do business in unusual ways. New technologies opened hitherto unimaginable opportunities, leveling the playing field and giving us the ability to compete equally and thereby leapfrog our development in various sectors. As is said, our victory will come from our ability to find opportunities in problems. Therefore, at MTN Ghana, we have embraced the challenge with optimism, a sense of purpose, and a long strategic thinking to ensure we take advantage of current and future opportunities in a responsible and sustainable manner. A week and a half ago, during my interaction with the media in Tamale, and I said to Our Excellence when I met him, I said to the President that I'll be visiting Tamale, and I did that. And I affirmed my faith while I was there in front of the media, echoing my belief that the next big innovation could come from Africa. And then I thought about it, and I'm wrong. The next big innovation should come from Africa. Not could, should come from Africa. And the only way that is going to happen is if we make it happen. We create the environment to make it happen, and we have the belief. If we as leaders in business do not believe, do not have the faith that the next big innovation will come from our country and from this continent, it will never happen. So I'm imploring all of you as business leaders to have that belief and have that passion and to drive that growth and innovation. There's no reason it shouldn't come from Africa and from Ghana. The role of digital infrastructure as a backbone for economic development is foundational in the 21st century. Countries that invest in robust digital infrastructure are better positioned to unlock innovation, to entrepreneurship, expand market access, and economic inclusion, attract investment, improve governance, public service delivery, and boost productivity and competitiveness across various sectors. I'm pleased to say that in 2021, we committed as MTN to invest in our business here, in our network, $1 billion. By the end of this year, because in 2025, we will invest $240 million. I'm pleased to say we've achieved that. We are committed to spend $1 billion, and we've done it. And we will continue to invest in Ghana. Why? Because we believe in the future of our country here. We believe there's potential. We believe in what the government is doing. We believe in the reset. My question to you, my colleagues from other companies, is do you believe? And I think we've got all the signals that say we should believe. By the way, when the governor was speaking, I was ready to clap for the CD, but no one else clapped, so we can do that now. We should have done that more often. Anyhow, I'm off script again. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to try and keep it relatively short. My message to all of us is we have a responsibility. We have a responsibility to invest in Ghana. We have a responsibility to our young people. We have a responsibility towards job creation. We have a responsibility to each other. Let's all work together to ensure that using the skills that we have in this room, we use every resource we have, every mental capability we have, every opportunity to create jobs, to create a country and an economic system that allows for growth. This is what we all believe in. This is what we should be looking forward to. Transformation is never linear. But if we are bold in our investments, deliberate in our innovations, and united in our vision, then Ghana can emerge not just resilient, but exceptional. Let us lead with foresight, with flexibility, with deep understanding of the world we are building. It's a future powered by ideas, by data, we just spoke about it, by collaboration, and by leadership that embraces change rather than resists it. Together, let us empower Ghana's digital future, one digital connection at a time. Thank you.
And he speaks so passionately on his behalf and that of his organization because they believe every African deserves the benefits of a modern, connected life. One more time, the CEO of MTN, Mr. Stephen Blewett, on driving digital transformation and connectivity for Ghana's economic reset. We shall now acknowledge two of our sponsors and move to our next keynote.
Welcome to Olam Agri. With 3 decades of expertise, we've honed our skills in sourcing, processing, and distributing food and feed across Ghana and the sub-region. Standing at the forefront of the market, our esteemed grains and rice businesses have a strong presence in all 16 regions. With a diverse portfolio of household brands, we offer quality products that resonate nationwide. In the heart of Ghana's industrial hub lies our state-of-the-art milling facility in Bong Tema, producing high-quality flour and feed to meet growing demand. Established in 2012, our milling facility boasts a remarkable annual capacity of 255,000 metric tons, enhancing Ghana's sufficiency in flour production. Adhering to world standards, our products undergo rigorous quality checks before entering the market. Our grains factory holds FSSC certification, reflecting our commitment to food safety. Our rice warehouse and packaging plant in Bong ensures a steady supply of household brands that meet the demands of all of our consumers. Here, we produce popular consumer brands like Royal Feast, Royal Aroma Fortified, and our Made in Ghana rice brand, Mama Gold. Our commitment to excellence is reflected in every aspect of our operations. From our factories to our warehouses to our offices, we are dedicated to rigorous standards to ensure a safe and secure workplace for all. Situated within Accra's bustling industrial area is our head office. This modern space serves as a dynamic hub for innovation and collaboration. With over 95% of our workforce being Guinean, we are not only a company, we are part of the fabric of Ghana's economic development. As a 4-time certified top employer, we are dedicated to fostering a supportive and rewarding work environment where our employees can thrive. By prioritizing health, safety, and quality, we not only protect our employees, but also uphold our reputation as a trusted leader in the agricultural industry. This is our journey of excellence. As we continue to unlock Ghana's food and agricultural potential, Olam Agri remains committed to shaping the future through food, feed, and fiber.
Imagine a world without work.
A round of applause for our sponsors thus far. Mr. President, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, it's at this point that we would like to receive a presentation in 5 minutes from Olam Agri. A round of applause for them.
Your Excellency, Mr. John Dramani Mahama, the President of the Republic of Ghana, Honorable Ministers of State, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, good morning. I have been given just 5 minutes, so we'll run through this presentation as fast as we can. So we just want to critically explore a critical theme for modern businesses, how ESG principles coupled with a commitment to sustainability and proactive use of digital innovations can enhance businesses to be future ready. So we'll illustrate this with examples and initiatives from Olam Agri in Ghana. So I'd like to start off. So I would like to start off with assessing what the current situation is. The data is clear. 2024 was recorded as the warmest year in the world. It was the first full year where the global the global temperature levels exceeded the pre-industrial levels, that is 1.5 degrees Celsius. And it creates tangible consequences, and the effects are getting worse as we go on. This has manifested in other climate disasters. To put it in more human terms, studies show that someone who was born in 2020 is likely to face more drought, more floods, more heat waves than someone who was born in 1960. So it goes to show that the world we inherited from our parents, we are likely to leave it worse off to our children. This has also had major effects on the productive land of the planet, and it's estimated that about $231 billion has been lost due to soil degradation in the last year. It's also further impacted global food production. It's also impacted global food production, where there's been studies have noted that there's been a reduction in calories consumed. And this is at a time where about 820 million people are recorded undernourished. So with all these environmental pressures, we have other forces of pressures that are leading to this. There's been a technological disruption, AI and blockchain. There's also been different reactions to regulatory landscapes. And then, of course, we have evolving consumer demands, where consumers are even more likely to buy from companies that are not adhering to social and environmental well-being. So we are at a crossroad. It's either we take path one, where we do business as usual, but then what is the cost of that inaction? Are we still going to make the money we are making doing business the same way, or do we go with the second path where we do things differently? How do we secure our value chain for the future? And at Olam Agri, we've taken a very proactive approach to transforming food, feed, and fiber. We are committed to making the world better and impacting positively in the communities where we find ourselves. So this commitment lies on three major priorities, and this is our sustainability priorities that guides our business. One, we are particular about climate, greenhouse emissions, and our impact through carbon emissions. We are also protecting ecosystems, biodiversity, and watersheds. And then lastly, we are also committed to improving the livelihoods and nourish the partners that we have where we operate. So I'd like to bring this closer to home now and go through the initiatives and programs that we have in Olam Agri, Ghana. So in Ghana, we've been here for the past 3 decades, and we've evolved into a leading agri-commodity company that has a major effect on the nation's food sector. We have many partners through our rice and grains business, and we are committed to grow with Ghana, not just in Ghana. So for one of our major businesses, which is our grains business, we have a major wheat mill facility in Tema, where we churn out leading flour brands such as First Choice, Adipa. And when we look at the baking industry, it presents a lot of unique opportunities as well as challenges. The baking industry is highly fragmented. We have bakers who are using outmoded earthen ovens, which pose a lot of effect on the environment. The devices they are using has a major effect on the environment. So it ultimately also leads to hygiene and sanitation problems. So we've taken it upon ourselves to churn out different programs that would enhance the baking industry, that would lead to a long-term sustainability for the industry. So our Grains Hygiene Standards Management Program, the first ever of its kind in Ghana, aims to improve the hygiene and sanitation conditions of bakers. We are doing this together with the Ghana FDA, where we have identified certain hygienic parameters bakers are supposed to adhere to. So we take the bakers through training programs. We encourage them to do better in terms of application in the bread making process. And then they are monitored by third-party hygiene controllers who have been trained by the FDA. So at the end of the year, we measure their improvements and even recognize those that have improved in their application process. So far, we've had about 1,200 bakers on this program, with 450 of them actually showing measurable transformation in their hygiene practices. We also have our Bakewell app, which helps us to track these hygienic programs that we have. So we are able to receive real-time updates on how these bakers are doing. We also have a program we call the Healthy Baker, where bakers are able to know their health status. So for this program, we carry out periodic medical screenings for hypertension, typhoid, and recently breast cancer. And then it's also per regulatory adherence. The bakers are supposed to adhere to certain regulations to be able to have their permits to operate. So we've taken it upon ourselves to carry this forward. Can run through, next slide. Can run through, we cover some in rice. Abra.
Good morning, Mr. President. On the rice front, I would like to say that we are one of the few companies who are a major player in imported rice as well as one of the largest player in local rice. We are committed to the country's self-reliance goal, and we are currently operating and directly or indirectly impacting the lives of around 4,000 farmers. We are having a presence. The brand of Mama Golden Heritage was launched in 2020. We have around 4 years of market presence now, and it's one of the largest consumed local rice brand in Ghana. We are also working with around 65 aggregators spanned across the country and around 3 commercial farmers and 4 toll mills. Going up. Again, as a first, we are one of the only companies in Ghana who have an access to fortified rice. We all know about the hidden hunger and the malnutrition problem which grapples the countries of Africa. We have Royal Aroma Fortified, only one rice of its time, which is a value-added product from the house of Olam, which caters to the problem of hidden hunger through fortification.
So we'd like to leave you with this quote from Leonard Sweet, which captures our philosophy at Olam Agri. The future is not a state where we simply arrive at, but we must be proactive in our approach to safeguard it. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Olam Agri. A shining example of sustainable business. How many of you have your Ghana cards here? Please show by hand. Now we know the enemies of the state. Let's talk about digital identity, shall we? And let's explore that as a foundational tool for inclusive growth. Let's talk about efficient governance and private sector transformation through this medium. For the next few minutes, please, let's hear on digital identity for business and economic research, empowering Ghana's transformation agenda. Who better to do it? The CEO of the Margins Group, Mr. Moses Baden Jr. The video, please.
Where everyone is who they say they are, where the people and assets most important to you are protected. A safe space. For over 3 decades, Margins ID Group and its subsidiaries have been building this world. Our state-of-the-art access control systems, asset tagging systems, and CCTV installations ensure that the assets most important to you are protected. We have designed and built award-winning national identity infrastructures, supported by our ultra-modern in-house designed and built verification system. We are the identity experts. We represent you, and we are certified to do so. Proudly, the only African facility to be certified by Intergraph at central banking level. Margins ID Group, made in Ghana by Ghanaians for the world. Visit us now at www.marginsgroup.com.
the President of the Republic of Ghana, Your Excellency John Dramani Mahama, the Ministers of State, the Governor of the Bank of Ghana, fellow CEOs, distinguished ladies and gentlemen. Mr. President, last time I was here, my presentation was done by an AI avatar of mine, and I've had no end to it. These days, when you see me, you call me AI man. So today, I decided to come physical, because we live both in the physical world and a digital world. And digital identity without a physical identity is not effective, because human beings are physical, and then they are increasingly digital. Our digital world is increasingly driven by data, and data is relevant only because it's connected to digital identity. And the speed at which trust can be established in this new digital environment is what matters in transactions. In this case, identity is not just your Ghana card or your Ghana card number. It is the foundation for effective governance, business efficiency, and economic expansion and empowerment. In this digital age, data is a new currency, and trust is the foundation in this new reality. Digital identity is no longer a technical concept, but a strategic national imperative. The ability to verify who someone is instantly, securely, and digitally is now fundamental to how we do business, deliver public services, and drive inclusion. From opening bank accounts to accessing healthcare, from cross-border trade to e-commerce, digital identity unlocks opportunities. It enables faster transactions, safer interactions, and more inclusive growth. It brings the informal to the formal. It gives every citizen a voice, every business a customer, and every country a chance to leapfrog into the future. In short, digital identity is not just about identification. It is about empowerment, economic acceleration, and trust at global scale. As leaders in business and government, it is our responsibility to ensure that trust is built, protected, and made universally accessible. This must be done with the right legal and digital access control that ensures that the right people present the right certified credentials. They must be able to receive information they are legally entitled to in real time by biometrically verifying in person or remotely to confirm that they are who they claim they are on the national identification system. Without a reliable and secure identity system, governments cannot plan effectively, nor can business serve their markets efficiently. Identity is the foundation upon which systems of accountability, inclusion, and opportunity are built. Mr. President, history has shown us that transformational change occurs when the fundamental drivers of production shift. In the agricultural revolution, the change in agricultural and farm practices is what built empires and kings and peasants. Now, move forward to the energy age where coal and steam engines were introduced. That changed the landscape and the basis of our social, political, and economic organization underwent a drastic revolution known as the Industrial Revolution. And people lost wealth, countries lost their lead, and individuals went from rich to poor. In the third Industrial Revolution, the information computer technology revolution, the whole world economic system was shifted, and we didn't benefit because we were consumers in that revolution and not creators. Now, the fourth Industrial Revolution is not just about digitization or digitalization. It is about intelligent systems integrated into every fabric of life. It is defined by the convergence of technologies, artificial intelligence, big data, the Internet of Things, cloud computing, blockchain, and quantum computing, all connected together through the internet. These interconnected systems are leveraged by one vital asset: accurate, secure, and trusted data. The speed and scale of this transformation is unprecedented. Businesses that once took decades to scale now expand globally quickly. Public services that once required buildings, staff, and paperwork are now delivered through mobile and digital devices on portals. We are entering the age of the thinking machines that learn, analyze, and make decisions independently. The more accurate the data these systems are trained on, the more efficient and effective they become. With quantum computing and AI accelerating at exponential rates, problems that would take human experts centuries to solve are now resolved in minutes. And this intelligence feeds on one critical input: trusted digital identities connected to data. Data in this new age is the new gold, and we've had this several times this morning. But raw data without the identity source is just noise. Data must be linked to real people, places, and things in ways that are secure, verifiable, and privacy respected. We are human beings living in a physical world, yes, but we increasingly operate in the digital world. And in this new world, verifiable identity is the passport for effective participation. Here in Ghana, Mr. President, you have charged us to build a 24-hour economy and create jobs for the teeming unemployed. To realize this vision, every citizen must have a trusted legal, physical, and digital identity that operates in the physical and digital worlds. We must be able to confirm who a person is, whether in person or online, with speed, certainty, and security. Without such a system, we are vulnerable. Vulnerable to fraud, to impersonation, to corruption, and to lost opportunities. To ensure rights and responsibilities are protected, contracts are enforceable, and services are delivered to the right people, we must invest in identity systems that work everywhere, for everyone, 24/7. This is the future. A digital world powered by identity, a world where not only people, but also devices and systems are tagged with unique identifiers, trusted and verifiable in real time. Trust delivered at digital speed is the currency of this new economy. And Ghana is ready. In this new physical and digital world, identity is not just a card or a number. The Ghana card and national ID system is a multi-factor, multi-purpose, physical, electronic, and digital identity system that can establish identity physically. Because in areas where you're off-grid, when you use at your Ghana card, it's just like using your money. It must have the security features of money so you can identify that the person is who they claim when you're off-grid. But when you're on-grid, you should be able to do that online. Where the card is not present, you left your card at home, you should be able to identify yourself. And where the card is present, you must be able to do that. The national ID system of Ghana is able to do what most ID systems in the world cannot do in any of these circumstances. It's the trusted foundation for aggregating data that's tied to verifiable and trusted identities. It's efficient data analysis and effective data-driven decision-making. It's the foundation for economic transformation and empowerment. Without such a system, governments cannot plan efficiently to deliver services effectively to their citizens. Businesses can serve their markets better, more efficiently and effectively today, and even more in the future because of the fundamental national database that includes today 98% of the adult population. So what does this give us? A national ID system gives us two possibilities. One is in e-government services and the one in e-commerce services. So let me take a few examples of the impact of this. An e-government service platform connected to a trust foundational database or the national ID database that covers all data fields that public services and private services use. That has all the biometrics, has digital certificates that allows you to log into many portals safely and securely and identify yourself, allows governments to deliver services to citizens without any human interface. Now, Mr. President, 24 hours, citizens can access whatever service they want because they can prove that they are who they claim they are. They can make payments, they can receive deliveries. And one of these examples is today's DVLA, for instance. In the DVLA system in the past, you had Guru boys. Mr. President, I could be you with a driver's license in the north because nobody can show that the link between my ID and what I'm presenting. Today at DVLA, when you go to the DVLA portals, you can put in your national ID, you can do a biometric verification, and within 300 milliseconds, your data is in the DVLA database, which means that if you buy a vehicle, it will be your vehicle and nobody else's vehicle. Your driving license will be connected to your real ID because you can do the same remotely, or you can do it in person. We can forecast the revenue of DVLA because we scanned all the data since 1972 into the DVLA database, and it's connected to these identities. So we can tell how much money DVLA is going to make over the next 10 years. And when you are stopped with your driving license or without your driving license, you can be identified as the owner of the car. We can know whether your driving license has expired. We can know whether your insurance has expired. And we can certainly know whether the car you're driving is yours. So this government service that was laborious and filled with fraud is now digitized, and that's what it gives us. People talk about the resulting data that DVLA, for instance, generates. But underlying all that data, we must understand that the foundation is the digital identity that makes the data accurate and useful, both in deployment of government services and private services. Today, we can also look at healthcare, the National Health Insurance Authority, which sits on the board of NHIA. Because we have 98% of the adult population registered, and we have National Health Insurance Authority and NIA, as we speak, launching a program to register children in school between 6 to 15. And we have babies being born now being given national ID numbers at birth. It means that our health system will be universal. The National Health Insurance System can tell the gap between what the national ID system is telling them has data, and what is the gap between those who are not on it, in order to now plan more accurately for it. People making claims at hospitals is no longer going to be beset with fraud, because your claim is going to be attached to a verification that you've done in the hospital, which is connected to your consultation and then to the drugs that you're taking at the pharmacy. So paying claims can be digitized, fraud can be eliminated, the human factor can be removed, and healthcare can be truly effective, given the advance of e-health services, access to e-consulting, access to your records in the cloud, which doctors can credential to, and in times of emergency, and know what blood type you are because they are doctors and they have the access and credentials to do so. People found in accidents that plug our mortuaries, whose relatives cannot be found, cannot be tracked, because with your Ghana card or without your Ghana card, just your fingerprints is going to tell us who you are, where you're from, and what family we should contact in terms of emergency. It gives us a whole plethora of tools to organize our data so that planning, budgeting, policy, and implementation of policy can be efficient and effective. Today, your bank account can be opened on the fly. By putting your national ID card onto a bank portal and verifying with your face, you can have an account instantly. And Mr. Governor, by connecting all bank transactions to the verification code of NIA, you can monitor all transactions in order to be able to make more effective. And that's the next wave of things that I hope is going to happen. Crime fighting is made easier because the police, immigration, and national security have now the ability to create locally, not to have any foreign person do for them, search list instantly. So if you store here right now, they can put you on the search list. So even if you are paired at Elubo and they identify, they will know that you stole something from here. And this is built locally. Our borders will be safe because we have all the Ghanaians that live here in that database. We have all the foreigners that live here in that database. So finding Aisha Huang will not be very difficult, Mr. President. Because when he turns up at the border, a simple fingerprint identification will show that he's wanted by you for Galamsey. So digital identity is the future. I have a very long written speech, but let me skip that. And let me come to the conclusion of what I want to communicate to you, Mr. President. That this national ID system is the gold standard in the world and is recognized by many as also the most successful public-private partnership between government and private sector to deliver a public good sustainably. Since 2012, we've been on this PPP. We're in 2025. And the one for nationals since 2017, we've been on that, and it's still running. And the fact that the private sector uses it means that it's efficient. I think that there's something to learn about the allocation of risk between public and private in order to ensure that public services are not just delivered, but are delivered efficiently and sustainably at scale. Mr. President, I know that you're passionate students of history, as I am, and we both know that Africa missed the first 3 industrial revolutions, as I said, through short-sightedness and sometimes outright foolishness, and perhaps bad luck. But these 4th and 5th industrial revolutions, we need to wake up. We cannot just be consumers of this technology. We must be creators of that technology. We cannot outsource our future. We must design and build it right here in Ghana and Africa. Yes, we will collaborate in a globalized world with enlightened countries and companies, but not solely on their terms, but in our own enlightened self-interest and the service of our generations yet to be born. We cannot build a modern economy without a modern identity system. Digital identity is not a luxury. It is a national necessity. It enables effective governance, drives entrepreneurship, protects the vulnerable, and lays the foundation for a fair, inclusive, and prosperous Ghana. We should own our infrastructure, our data, control our intellectual property, and apply our God-given intelligence and capacity to shape our destiny. The Ghana card and national ID systems have laid the cornerstone of a modern, inclusive, and competitive economy. It is not just a card, it is the infrastructure of trust, the gateway to inclusion, and the engine of economic transformation into the future. We have the opportunity to lead, to innovate, and to build a Ghana that is not only digitally enabled, but digitally sovereign. Let us not be passive participants in this digital age. We must be bold creators of our own destiny. The future belongs to those who build it, and we must build it right here and right now. Ghana is ready. I thank you for your attention.
And Ghana is certainly ready because of business leaders like Mr. Moses Baden Jr., CEO of the Margins Group, clearly fleshing out digital identity for business and economic research, empowering Ghana's transformation agenda. You certainly vindicate the governor of the Bank of Ghana when he says clearly that if economic research is the burden of government, then certainly enterprise research is the burden of private sector and business leaders like yourselves. And now, ladies and gentlemen, for the summit speech, I give to you our one and only Ernest de Graft Ejiri.
Hello. Good afternoon to you all. I am very happy. Good to be here. Your Excellency, we are very happy to have you here today. I want to believe that we can confidently say the President of Ghana is now a patron of the Ghana CEO Network. Can we give it to him? I got it from the grapevine that he was supposed to travel. When he saw in his diary that the CEO Summit, he said, postpone it. Can we give it to him? And this is the second time he has done that. The first time he was coming, he had a meeting with Korea president. Sunday afternoon, he called me, I'm supposed to go to Korea. I'm no more a president, I don't have a private jet. What do we do? I leave his house, he called me that I'll be at the CEO Summit the next day. Can we give it to the president? On that note, I would like to welcome you all to the 9th Ghana CEO Summit. Time is not on our side, so we invite the president. I'll invite the chairman of the CEO Network to invite the president.
Your Excellency, the President, distinguished CEOs, anytime my CEO has asked me to introduce the President, sometimes I feel it's a trap because I'm not sure how I can introduce the President. So to make it simple, I'll just mention his 3 offices. He is the head of state of Ghana. He is the head of government of Ghana. And he is the commander-in-chief of the armed forces of Ghana. How else can you introduce the President? Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome me to introduce His Excellency, the President of the Republic of Ghana, President John Dramani Mahama.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you very much. Kindly resume your seats. Ernest, thank you for the invitation once again. And I want to thank you for inviting me always and giving me the platform when I was in my other mogrification as opposition leader. You always opened your doors and gave us the opportunity to interact with captains of industry and to try and roll out the vision that we had if, you know, God favored us and made us win the election. I think the rest is history. The taste of the pudding is in the eating, and we've been given that responsibility by Ghanaians. But I want to thank you for your kind invitation. I'll miss the presidential panel with Kofi Abuchi. Unfortunately, there's always a coincidence. I'm supposed to be in Abidjan this morning for the African Development Bank board meeting, and Akin Adesina, who's the outgoing president, was expecting me this morning, but I had to call and explain to him that I had to be at the CEO summit. And so as much as I would have wanted to stay for quite a long time, unfortunately I'll have to run off immediately after this to catch the flight to Abidjan. I'm happy I listened to Moses' presentation. I mean, the sky is the limit. It just opens so many opportunities for us. And just to say, I got a request for a reference on Moses from DR Congo, and you can bet I give you a very positive reference of Ghana's ID card. And the person was asking about Ghana's ID card, and I said, oh yeah, Margins did it for us. He said, did they do a good job? I said, yes, they did. So explore that market. When you spoke, I mean, the opportunities are endless. We said in the budget that we're going to reintroduce road tolls. And so they've been talking about, what the modality should be and all that. But the good thing today is every car is linked to the owner's Ghana card. And so we don't need to have the old toll gates and those cards that you stand and open and all that. We'll just go straight digitalized. If it's one city, if you cross the East Legon Bridge, governor and finance minister will all be happy. We'll just take a picture of your car, and then it will take the bill to your mobile money or your bank account and just pay 1 cedi, only 1 cedi. So things are looking up. I'm happy to see my friend Subi. He sold me my first EV car, a little nippy Wuling Chinese car. And today my boys quarrel over who should use it because they don't pay petrol, they don't pay electricity. The charger is in my house. So they come and park it and plug it in. And when it has a full charge, 330 kilometers, they are good to go. And so, Subi, I'm happy to see you again. But happy to see all of you in a different capacity today. Nana Akufo-Addo would have said, levels don't change. So good morning, and I'm happy to be here as the President of the Republic of Ghana. I have just a short statement, and it is my honor and pleasure to address you at this year's CEO Summit, an event that has over the years become the foremost platform for strategic thinking and engagement and public-private partnerships. It brings together the nation's most influential economic actors, and it is heartening to note how your community has maintained your resolve even through the trying times of the recent past. This year's theme, Leading Ghana's Economic Reset, Transforming Business and Governance for a Sustainable Futuristic Economy, could not have been more appropriate. It challenges us to examine where we have come from, acknowledge where we have faltered, and above all, define where we must go as a nation. Today, I wish to structure my remarks around two broad ideas. The first is talking about a reset that is anchored in past reforms and achievements, particularly from our previous administration, that were either abandoned or undermined, leading to costly reversals. And so that's going down the path of history. The second is a reset for the future, one that embraces innovation, transparency, and shared growth. A reset designed to restore confidence and elevate our economy through bold but responsible leadership. So let us begin with where we lost our footing, because it is said that for those who don't learn the lessons of the past, they are bound to make the same mistakes. Between 2013 and 2016, my administration took bold steps to deepen Ghana's domestic and external financial markets. Under ministers like Dr. Kwabena Dufo and later Mr. Setekwe, who we are privileged to have here with us, and in partnership with the central bank and commercial banks, we introduced medium and long-term domestic bonds, listed them on the Ghana Stock Exchange, and operationalized the Central Securities Depository to improve transparency and liquidity. We went further. Ghana became one of the few African countries to issue a $200 million denominated domestic bond, a strategic innovation that supported our smart borrowing initiative. And I'm happy to say that bond was oversubscribed. Simultaneously, we accessed external capital markets responsibly. From 2013 to 2016, Ghana issued 4 Eurobonds, all without default. And these were anchored in a sinking fund mechanism designed to ensure repayment. We applied over $335 million from our oil-funded sinking fund to settle maturing Eurobond liabilities. We refinanced the $200 million HIPIC era 2007 Eurobond through our 2015 World Bank guaranteed bond. And before we left office, we left sufficient reserves, enabling the next administration that came after us to pay off the balance in 2017 of the 2007 bond without distress. Ladies and gentlemen, this was not magic. It was just discipline and it was foresight. Tragically, this architecture was dismantled. Between 2017 and 2022, debt accumulation skyrocketed, and yet the framework to ensure repayment was abandoned. As a consequence, Ghana defaulted on both the domestic and external debts, a first in our post-independence history. Investors, businesses, and pensioners suffered crushing losses through the domestic debt exchange program, with crude haircuts eroding trust in the financial system. Ghana's creditworthiness was downgraded to junk status, and public sector arrears ballooned, and SMEs were squeezed out of the credit market. This was not simply a matter of global shocks. Other countries with smaller resource bases managed their recoveries much better than us. In our case, poor fiscal management, opaque collateralization of statutory funds, and disregard for procurement and accountability rules were major contributory factors. The results are visible: a loss of access to capital markets, both domestic and foreign, the collapse of investor confidence, and a shrinking private sector unable to plan, invest, or expand. Let us be honest with ourselves. A true reset must begin by learning from what worked and what was recklessly abandoned. And so the first thing to look at is, how do we lead a reset for the future, a path to recovery and resilience? Distinguished participants, despite these challenges, I remain optimistic. Ghana has what it takes to recover, not by repeating the past mistakes, but by learning from it and innovating for the future. Let me outline 8 key pillars of the economic reset that we envisage. Number 1 is completing the IMF program with discipline. We'll continue the discipline in government expenditure and borrowing and work to achieve all targets under the Extended Credit Fund with a program with the IMF. We expect to conclude the 4th review of the IMF program in June 2025 with a target to exit at the end of the program in 2026. And thereafter, we'll participate in Article 4 consultations and adopt the policy support instrument framework, signaling Ghana's return to responsible, non-borrowing engagement with the fund. And the second is reopening domestic and international capital markets. We're working to reopen Ghana's bond market in collaboration with the IMF and our development partners, the Ghana Stock Exchange, and local banks. However, future borrowing will be linked to self-financing commercially viable projects, particularly by MDAs, MMDAs, and SOEs, ensuring value for money and sustainable repayment. The third is strengthening sovereign funds and local government financing. We'll amend the Public Financial Management Act and Constitution to make contributions to the sinking and stabilization funds mandatory. It will not be optional. So a certain percentage of funds must be committed to the sinking and stabilization funds. We also intend to empower MMDAs to issue infrastructure and municipal bonds secured against a portion of their district assemblies common fund to fund infrastructure projects such as roads, schools, water systems, and local industry in the districts. And the fourth is clearing verified arrears and rationalizing public investment. The Auditor General is completing an audit of arrears and commitments, government commitments, and we expect to receive his report by the end of May. We'll then commence to clear legitimate arrears transparently and enforce commitment controls through the gift mix and the IPSAS-based accounting systems. New projects will be prioritized based on need, funding availability, and alignment with our national interest. And the fifth is accelerating public financial management reforms, and we have started that already. We amended the PFMA to include fiscal responsibility clauses. We'll reactivate stalled reforms, including the Treasury Single Account TSA, the Integrated Tax Administration System, and real-time budget monitoring tools to improve efficiency, reduce waste, and to curb corruption. And the sixth is revitalizing exports through Ghana Exim Bank. The Ghana Exim Bank will be repositioned to support non-traditional exports and agro-processing, light manufacturing, and SMEs, enhancing foreign exchange inflows and creating jobs in the real economy. Our Agriculture for Economic Transformation agenda will also roll out massive investments in oil palm, in cocoa, cashew, shea, and other high-value tree crops. With two of our major export commodities, gold and cocoa, enjoying a good run in international markets, we will build our reserves and buffers to create the resilience to withstand any future global shocks. And then the seventh is building Ghana into a regional hub for trade and investment. We envision Ghana as West Africa's commercial, transport, and digital services hub. Our reset will prioritize port expansion, financial services, health, education, and industrial corridors, linking Ghanaian business to the African Continental Free Trade Area and beyond. And then 8 is resuming infrastructure development to stimulate growth. Infrastructure investment is not optional. We'll resume priority projects in the roads, energy, water, housing, and urban renewal sectors, not through reckless borrowing, but through innovative financing systems like the Big Push, PPPs, and other strategic partnerships. So now, what does this reset mean for business? Distinguished CEOs, this reset will only succeed with the private sector at its core. We're restoring macroeconomic stability not as an end in itself, but as a platform for private investment. And in that regard, we'll ensure policy predictability to enable medium and long-term planning for you. Access to credit and capital markets will not crowd you out. We'll borrow responsibly and restrain ourselves in government borrowing so that the rest of the credit is available for you to expand your businesses. Consultation with industry will occur before any major reforms are done. And finally, a fiscal environment that rewards value creation and not rent seeking. And so, like I said, you will not only be consulted in major government policy, you will be empowered to take advantage of it. We'll institutionalize a national business consultative platform to bring government and the private sector together biannually, twice a year, for policy feedback, reform monitoring, and joint priority setting. And I'm pleased to say this was one of the promises I made to you, that we'll consult twice a year on government policy so that you give us the feedback on how it is affecting your businesses. Ladies and gentlemen, in 2008, Ghana became a lower middle income country. That milestone was based on sound policy and institutional reforms. Today, the opportunity exists for us to move further to become an upper middle income country with a diversified economy, resilient institutions, and a dynamic private sector. To get there, we must reset, and reset with discipline, with purpose and unity. On government's part, I wish to assure you that we'll maintain the current fiscal discipline and work to maintain a conducive environment for your businesses to thrive. Let me take the opportunity to commend those of you who have responded to the cedi's appreciation by reducing prices of your products and services, and thereby passing some of the relief from the hardship to Ghanaians. And so, Oka and all of you, thank you very much. GPR to you, thank you very much. And so for those of you who have not responded yet, please pass on some of the cedi appreciation to Ghanaians. The time has come for us to lift the gloom, to restore confidence, and to build again. And as I said in my inauguration, Ghana is open for business again. Let this summit mark the beginning of a new compact between the public and private sectors, a compact of mutual accountability, shared risks, and shared rewards. Together we can lead Ghana's economic reset and in doing so, lay the foundations for a more prosperous, inclusive, and secure future for our people. I thank you all for your kind attention, and may God bless our homeland, Ghana.
The President of our Republic, His Excellency John Dramani Mahama. Mr. President, if it pleases you, I would like to invite to join you here our convener, together with the chair of the CEOs Network, Professor Ernest Abochi. A round of applause for them, please. Thank you for those warm and gracious words, Mr. President. We shall now move straight into the awards. Please be seated. Mr. President, being a man of unshakable faith, I have good news for you. Our levels also have changed at the CEOs Network. We're joined today by a phenomenal gift to the body of Christ and to the business world. I'm talking about the Porter's House Church. We salute the life, the work, and the legacy of Bishop T.D. Jakes and Mrs. Sarita Jakes. Ladies and gentlemen, a round of applause for them. Theirs have been a mission and a vision to molding purpose-filled vessels while pointing all grace and glory to God. They join us here through their children, ladies and gentlemen, the senior pastors of the Porter's House, Pastor Sarah Jakes Roberts and Pastor Ture Roberts. Thank you very much. And now we're moving to the CEO Awards. Please, as I mention your name, you come through this side, receive your award, and proceed down. We shall do it in a very rushed format, given the brevity of time. CEO of the Year, Leadership Excellence, ladies and gentlemen, Money Markets, Abna Amoa, Ghana Stock Exchange. CEO of the Year, Automotive Salon Products, ladies and gentlemen, the country delegate CEO, CFAO Mobility Ghana PLC, Ade Demola Adelebu. CEO of the Year 2024, General Insurance, the CEO of Enterprise Insurance, Akosia Ansa Enchi. CEO of the Year 2024, Private Public Partnership, Technology Sector, the Executive Chairman of the KGL Group, Mr. Alex Apau Dade. Also receiving for the overall Group CEO of the Year 2024 in the Group Business Sector is the same Executive Chairman of the KGL Group, Mr. Alex Apau Dade. For Trade Technology Products Sector, the CEO of the Year is the CEO of the Omega Group, Andrew Nana Kufuor. Enterprise Technology Sector, ladies and gentlemen, Emerging CEO 2024, the founder and CEO, Brainwave Africa Tech Limited, Angela Tremating Jimo. For the mining sector, CEO of the Year 2024 is the CEO of Nguvu Mining. Ladies and gentlemen, Madam Angela List. CEO of the Year 2024 Real Estate, Large-Scale Luxury Facilities, the CEO of Clifton Homes, Anne Brewin. For the Polyproducts Tank Sector, the CEO of the Year 2024 is the Chairman of the Mohinani Group. Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Ashok Mohinani. Ladies and gentlemen, we proceed to also acknowledge the agribusiness food sectors. Leadership Excellence 2024, the country head, Agri Olam Beibav Biswas. For media, radio sector, CEO of the Year 2024, Group CEO of the Media General, Madam Beatrice Ajeman. Oil marketing sector, downstream petroleum leadership excellence award goes to the CEO of Engine Ghana, Mr. Brent Nate. For consultancy, professional services, innovation category, it goes to the CEO, Consultant of the Year, ladies and gentlemen, Country Managing Partner, Deloitte Ghana, Daniel Kojo Owusu. Insurance sector, ladies and gentlemen, the Group CEO of the Year 2024, Group CEO of Enterprise Group, Daniel Labitieku. The roofing sector, the CEO of the Year, ladies and gentlemen, the CEO of Rockstar Roofing Systems Limited. Consultancy, Human Resources, ladies and gentlemen, Leadership Excellence Award goes to the founder and Group CEO of the Linné Group, Dr. Mrs. Ellen Hagan. Trade Facilitation, and ladies and gentlemen, it goes to the Executive Chairman of the Ghana Link Network Services Limited, Dr. Nick Dansueje. He also receives the Entrepreneur of the Year Award in the Entrepreneur category, together with the Technology Award, ladies and gentlemen, for excellence. Please, let's hear it up for Dr. Nick Dansueje. It's a hat trick. And for Consultancy, Strategy, Transformation Advisory, ladies and gentlemen, the Country Manager, Ernst & Young, Emmanuel Adekalo. Healthcare, Medical Equipment Business, ladies and gentlemen, the CEO, Pharma Company Limited, Emmanuel Tay Kenny. Real Estate Development, Corporate Office Services, ladies and gentlemen, the CEO, Eris Properties Ghana Limited, Enoch Etsuamensa. Perfumery Cosmetics, ladies and gentlemen, the CEO, Amanex Company Limited, Eric Amankwano. For the Technology Broadband Infrastructure, ladies and gentlemen, the Regional Manager, C-Squared, Estelle Akofio Soa. For Plastics, CEO of the Year 2024 is the CEO, Qualiplast Limited, Mr. Ferris Akil. Manufacturing Soft Beverage, CEO of the Year, Managing Director, West Africa Business Unit, Equatorial Coca-Cola Bottling Company, Felix Gomez. Heavy Construction, ladies and gentlemen, the Director, De Simone Group Limited, Frederico De Simone. Chemical Paint Industry, the CEO, Azar Chemical Company, Ghazi Azar. Wealth Management Multinational, ladies and gentlemen, the consultant Henley and Partners, Madam Grace Arthur. Cocoa Sector, the Managing Director, Federated Commodities Limited, Hajia Maria Adamu Zibo. Hospitality Hotels, ladies and gentlemen, the General Manager, Kempinski Hotel, Gold Coast City, Accra, Hanoff Bakoff. Manufacturing Pipes and Rubber Products, ladies and gentlemen, the CEO of Interplast, Haysam Fakri. For Banking, Leadership Excellence, it goes to the Managing Director, CEO, Zenith Bank Ghana, Mr. Henry Onwu Zurigbo. Architectural Engineering Practice, ladies and gentlemen, the CEO of the Year, CEO Key Architecture, Haysam Fakri. Hussein Fakri, I beg your pardon. And for mining engineering, ladies and gentlemen, CEO of the year 2024, the CEO, engineers and planners, Mr. Ibrahim Mahama. Manufacturing metal steel, Managing Director, Fabri Metal Ghana, Imran Manji. Let's talk about energy, and ladies and gentlemen, Leadership Excellence Award goes to the Acting Chief Executive, Volta River Authority, Engineer Edward Eko Obing Kenzo. For Life Insurance CEO of the Year 2024, it goes to the CEO of Enterprise Life Insurance, I beg your pardon, Madam Jacqueline Benyin. Pharmaceuticals Manufacturing CEO of the Year, and it goes to the CEO of Unichem Ghana Limited, Jason Mohan. Beverages in the liquor category, CEO of the Year 2024, it goes to the CEO of Imexco, Jean-Paul Fegali. CEO of the Year Pensions, ladies and gentlemen, is the CEO of Enterprise Group, Joseph Ampofo. And that should be Enterprise Trustees. CEO of the Enterprise Trustees, Mr. Joseph Ampofo. For Minerals Investment Fund, ladies and gentlemen, the Leadership Award goes to the Acting CEO, MIF, Madame Justina Nelson. And so I invite all award recipients to please come up for a group photo. Let me invite to join for the group photo Mr. Kantil Hirani, Mr. Nigan Kwao, Kwamina Sumeni, Kwesi Chum, Mr. Michael Ezombi, Mohammed Samara, Mr. Moses Baden, Mr. Nabil Al-Ahmad, Naniwa Ampimdakon, Nazim Khalid, Niel Oku, Madame Nokodia, Nu Selfui, Omar Eluti, Madame Patience Achianu, Patricia Obunai, Pawan Aitsani, Ryan Sharara, Said Masri, Salem Kalmoni, Samuel Kajan, Stephen Blewitz, Theresa Randolph, Young Yang, Joseph Alto, and Yvette Adongo Atekbe.
That's what you said. It's not me. It's not me, Ernest. Ernest is one of the awards. All of us together.
And so on the count of three, we all raise our awards. 1, 2, and 3. To this end, I ask that we all rise and affirm our belief and faith in our nation. God bless our homeland, Ghana, and make our nation great and strong. The national anthem. May God bless the CEO Summit. May God bless you, the President of our Republic, as you seek to reset our nation. May God bless us all in our homeland, Ghana, and make our nation great and strong. Let's all remain standing as the President and the official party take leave of us. We shall continue with the rest of the programming, please. Ladies and gentlemen, from now till 2 o'clock, the sequence of events are as follows. We have about 5 outstanding keynotes, and then we have 4 sponsor presentations, and then we shall zoom straight into the panel discussions. We hope that we will be able to do all of these before 2 o'clock, and when we do come back, we conclude with the last panel. Please be seated. Thank you very much for your cooperation. Thank you. Our sponsor, Henley and Partners. Ladies and gentlemen, Madam Grace Arthur is the Ghana rep of Henley and Partners. Please welcome her warmly with a round of applause. The video for Henley and Partners, please.
Enjoy visa-free travel and international flexibility. Protect your family. Give your children the best education and safety. Peace of mind. Henley and Partners are the world leader in residence and citizenship planning. Become a global citizen. Henley and Partners. Why become a resident or citizen of another country? Enjoy visa-free travel and international flexibility. Protect your family. Give your children the best education and safety. Peace of mind. Henley and Partners are the world leader in residence and citizenship planning. Become a global citizen. Henley and Partners.
Good afternoon. Good afternoon, please. I think that please did the trick, did the magic. Thank you. Honorable members present, fellow executives, ladies and gentlemen, I'm happy to be representing Henley and Partners with a very short presentation. It shouldn't take more than 4 minutes to do this. So you will find this as the shortest presentation for the day. For us at Henley and Partners, we have been at the global front, being global leaders. And you will agree with me that with all the presentations done here so far, there's a key theme which is running through. And it is important that we all thrive, we push forward in terms of reset, build, and grow as a nation. One of the key ways that we can do this, especially for the hungry Ghanaian business mind, is to have international partnerships, global collaborations. By all means, we want to do well here in Ghana. We also want to do well on the world stage, and that's what we offer at Henley and Partners. Now, about 2 years ago, I received a call from a contact in the banking sector. And this call is very typical of the calls that I deal with in the last 2 years because of my field as a wealth management expert. And she said, Grace, I have this client who has built a very solid business in Ghana, doing well and thriving. However, he has a very key objective dear to the growth of the business. And it was to access the global market, to expand beyond Ghana, expand beyond Africa. And that is when we came in from Henley and Partners. After engaging this client, we realized that he's doing well in Ghana. However, he wants to go international. So at Henley and Partners, we had a conversation with a client, and clearly he needed to access the EU markets. EU markets access is something that everyone can do, but you need to do that legitimately and legally. And that is what we offered the client, where we were able to give him access without any limitations of moving across the various countries within the EU market. Again, it wasn't just access in terms of freedom of movement. It was also the credibility and the reputation for himself and his business. We supported him through the process to build a very solid support that was guiding his global expansion. Now, to this contact from the bank, what we did was our service to their clients came off as a complimentary service and a value addition to the various solutions that the bank provides. And now, today, the bank is doing more than just banking. It is part of our focus, collaborating and working with global brands, providing them value addition services so that they are able to serve their clients. Now, at Henley and Partners, we have been at the forefront, and that is our mission in the last 30 years. Being leaders, and the entire concept was pioneered by Henley and Partners. And so in the last 30 years, we've been supporting over 25,000 high net worth individuals, business leaders like yourselves and their family members, seeking for global partnerships, collaborations, access, freedom of movement for themselves, their family members, and their business. We do this by offering over 40 plus investment options. And these investment options are designed by the sovereign state. And so globally, there are investment programs designed by sovereign states that Henley and Partners, we have the mandate to do advisory services for these sovereign states. Beyond the advisory services, we also help these sovereign states to raise over the period, raise over 15 billion plus USD in foreign direct investment. And I'm sure Ghana's instance is coming to mind. It's something that Ghana can think about. How can we come together, have programs, residence programs, citizenship programs, targeting the foreigners who are coming in for business, for personal objectives, and gaining foreign direct investment for Ghana's growth. Now, we do this with representation all over the world. Currently, we have offices in 60 locations. And so you can find us in 60 offices globally, and then in Ghana here at Kempinski. So we are very much available. We are just a call away. Let's have the conversation even after this forum. We have our flyers all over. This discussion will definitely help your person, will help your family, will help your business to be on the global stage. And by all means, let's build businesses in Ghana. By all means, let's find the collaborations, the partnerships to be able to go global. And that is what we support with. So give us a call, and we'll be there to support you. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Madam Grace Arthur, for that very compelling presentation. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, we continue with the rest of the awards shortly. We shall take 4 more presentations, and then we shall zoom straight into the award. It's now my pleasure to invite for their presentation Eris Properties, their video, and then we have their presentation. A round of applause for them.
Eris as a forerunner in professional property development and management space understands the importance of unlocking the significant financial, environmental, and social value tied up in older commercial building stock in Accra. These buildings, though in strategic locations such as Ridge, Cantonments, and Liberation Road, which businesses prioritize, have been made obsolete through outdated building systems, inefficient designs, poor maintenance, and all. Landlords lose significant returns in forms of rents, as corporate tenants within these buildings are compelled to relocate into newer and functional buildings, often within the same radius. Eris is passionate about repositioning and repurposing obsolete commercial buildings to align with current market demand. Our team of asset and development managers can assist landlords and investors in changing the narrative around the negative returns on their property portfolio. We offer insight-driven value creation strategies across repositioning of assets from leasing, proposing the recommended building upgrades, identifying sources of funding, and undertaking property and facility management services to create more resilient assets. Eris Properties Ghana Limited provided support to the landlord of Opebia House, the first purpose-built office within the Airport City Enclave. We unlocked its latent but significant value by identifying an institutional tenant, renovating and upgrading the building amenities, and offering property and facility management services to both landlord and tenants. In repositioning Opebia House, Eris Ghana also created a cost-effective, low to medium risk avenue for an institutional investor to participate in the property sector.
Eris Properties Ghana Limited, the first choice real estate group through innovation and service excellence.
We salute you, Eris Properties. Ladies and gentlemen, here to make their presentation is Crystal Group Holdings. Let's have their video and thereafter the presentation.
Barriers, a digital future for all. This is a story made possible by MCOM High Speed, Nature Light Africa Energy, Mega Choice Digital Network.
Please pause the video
Crystal TV
as we receive the presenter, Mr. Cecil Sunkwa Mills. A round of applause for him.
Thank you. Representative of the Excellency, Your Excellencies, Ministers of State, the Governor of the Bank of Ghana, Captains of Industries and Institutions. Allow me to stand on all existing protocols. My name is Cecil Sunkwa Mills, and I'm a member of the Crystal Group Holdings as a Vice President. Today, Crystal Group is known to have been in Ghana for over 31 years, and we have been in the areas of media, energy, and telecommunications. Today, we bring something new with one of our subsidiaries, which is MCOM High Speed Communications Limited. I'll be doing two things. I'll just speak about MCOM, and then we'll watch the video, and then after, we'll share a gift with everyone here who has a smartphone. So MCOM functions as an ISP, which is an internet service provider in Ghana, and we're offering new smart solutions and value across Ghana in various sectors, such as agriculture, healthcare, education, security, governmental and non-governmental business and communications through single and multiple network solutions. And the big thing about it is you can have connectivity at any location in Ghana because we have introduced a satellite internet facility, which is a new one. Let us watch the video and it will give you an idea of the group, and then specifically we'll home in into MCOM High Speed. Can we have the video?
This is a story made possible by MCOM High Speed, Nature Light Africa Energy, Mega Choice Digital Network, and Crystal TV, all subsidiaries of the Crystal Group Holdings Limited. empowering communities, driving innovations.
Imagine a place where darkness is not just the absence of light, but the absence of dreams. No light, no internet, no television. For this island fishing community of 350 people, this is not imagination. This is reality. Every sunset is a silent thief, stealing colors and muffling hope. But as from today, everything changes. A new dawn marches in, not in the form of the rising sun, but in the roar of canoes and the shimmer of possibilities. Bringing more than the Crystal Group Holdings cargo, they bring a promise. Hands work swiftly, like artists painting light onto a blank canvas. Solar panels and satellite dishes assembling piece by piece, with Nature Light Africa Energy providing solar power solutions, MCOM high-speed communications, connecting satellite internet, and MegaChoice Digital, enabling TV access. This is more than technology. It is a spark, a heartbeat restored. Then, as if the heavens lean closer, light bursts forth. Pure bright lights, faces illuminate, the community aglows. For the first time, they see beyond the horizon, a world of knowledge, of connection, of endless possibility, now within reach.
I am very happy. CDH has got S-Line. I can do my homework and read my first book in the evening without the use of touchnotes.
It's not just about technology. It's about dignity. It's about reconnecting this community well.
Join us. Be part of the change.
MCOM High Speed is here. It's massive and at speed. Dedicated for telesurgery and hospital services. Dedicated for schools. Dedicated for university studies and research. Dedicated for airport and aviation services. Dedicated for reliable banking services. Dedicated for toll plaza controls. Dedicated for harbor services. Dedicated for homes and offices. Dedicated for transport services. Dedicated for maritime and exploration services. Dedicated for industries and factory services. Dedicated for smart agriculture, livestock monitoring, and drones control. It's stable and about reliability. It's not a shared service. It's dedicated internet and unmatched. MCOM High Speed. Digital possibilities. Dedicated connectivity.
The Crystal Group Holdings, empowering communities, driving innovation.
That is the new thing we have brought into Ghana and into Africa. So our connectivity can now be complete. So where your fiber ends, we can take you. Or where there is no other connection, we can take you. And you've seen the different areas that is covered. So now the other thing we have today, for all those who have a smartphone, we actually have brought dedicated internet into this room. So if you have a phone, you put on your Wi-Fi, we just do a quick one, and just look for MCOM high speed on the Wi-Fi. And please connect it. And if, for those of you who have the app that can look at a speed test, you can actually test it. And whilst you do that, I would like to introduce the founder of Crystal Group Holdings Limited, Chief Crystal Ajirako. That side. Yeah. He started off, he's a stalwart in media in Ghana, and we've spread it out, and now we're doing energy, solar energy to support it, and then we also have the new satellite internet which has arrived. We have a booth outside, so we invite everybody to pass through and take a look, and we'll do some inquiries for you. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Ladies and gentlemen, one more time, a round of applause. And so, as mentioned earlier, we shall have the rest of the awards at the end of these keynotes, and at 1:30 sharp, we shall break out for lunch. What we want to do now is to have a very wonderful conversation. We talked about the many PPPs that are currently ongoing and how we need to enhance a lot more of that. Let's talk about how we can strengthen these private-public partnerships for Ghana's economic reset. What is coming now is a one-on-one dialogue with the executive chairman of the KGL Group, who will be sharing insights on how PPPs can drive Ghana's economic transformation. We all know that as Ghana undergoes an economic reset, strategic collaborations between the private sector and government are pivotal and very essential for digital transformation, financial inclusion, and national development. We shall see a case study of how KGL Group and National Lottery Authority, as mentioned earlier, have partnered and which has successfully leveraged digital innovation to boost revenue generation, streamline operations, and create economic opportunities. If you're ready, as I think you are, please put your hands together and welcome our resource person, the executive chairman of the KGL Group, Mr. Alex Apaudade, as he's joined in conversation with our moderator, Kemini Amano, broadcast journalist, Media General. Please.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Are we having a productive Monday yet? No? Big yes, right? My name is Kemini Amano. The MC's already mentioned. I just thought it wise to reintroduce myself. I fearlessly ask questions for a living. In the world full of labels, I'm called a journalist, a label I proudly wear. If you're looking for me, you'll find me on TV3. But this moment is about Chairman Alex Apaudade, who himself has 30 years of corporate life under his belt, having worked in the US, the UK, and the Middle East, and now here in Africa, building his own business from the ground. Congratulations on your awards today.
Thank you.
Let's start off our conversation today with what your experience has been venturing into private-public partnerships. What would you consider the things that make such partnerships a success?
Thanks, Kemi. I get quite nervous when I see champions of industry and that big brains here, because these are the backbone of our economy. So to have a room full of them, it's quite nerve-wracking. So thank you for having me here. First of all, I hold a belief that governments do not create wealth. The private sector does. And as such, enabling the private sector through incentives and enabling an environment is the surest way to create wealth. Having said that, in terms of public-private partnership, I have been doing this for the past 35 years, 25 of them from a base of the United Kingdom, working across 20 countries. Ghana was one of the countries we worked in, so I know the Ghanaian market very well. We founded some of the top companies in Ghana in those days. One of them was GNTC, which was one of the largest trading company. They own Coca-Cola, other subsidiaries. We funded them from a base in the United Kingdom. So I'm not new to public-private partnership, and I'm also not new to the economic cycles of these, especially when we funded the likes of GMPC, Cocoa Board we funded by partnering Ghana International Bank in the UK and that. So throughout most of these cycles, I know how the economic cycle also plays on this. But let's talk about our recent involvement in public-private partnership. I also make the point that the principles of enterprise is the same whether it's public or private. It doesn't change. Unfortunately for us, the application of these principles, especially public organizations, is very lacking. What are some of these principles? Some of these principles are leadership, not just leadership, but transformational leadership. When you talk about integrity, you talk about funding, you talk about sustainability, you talk about resilience, you talk about compliance. These are lacking. Most importantly, public organizations, usually, not only public organizations, some private sector organizations also do, but not much compared to public. Public organizations are not designed to compete in the marketplace. You've got people like myself and most of the private sector people filled up in this room who have so much experience, 35 experience in the corporate sector myself. So imagine being pitched against a public sector leader, CEO, with little or no experience at all. They'll find wanting. So these are some of the issues that you have in the public sector. That is why in partnering with the private sector, you tend to get a bit more mileage.
So if I get you correctly, you're saying that sometimes there is a mismatch in the quality you're getting from the public sector. How have you had to deal with that in some of the partnerships that you have engaged in?
I think one of the things that is also been introduced in the public sector, when you face off, we talk about public-private partnerships, we forget that one thing that has been also introduced in the public sector is political service. So you've got political servants in the last probably 30 or 40 years. We have introduced political servants with less experience. And these are people that we need to equip, or they are not well equipped to deal with the complexities of enterprise and business through no fault of theirs, because we throw them in the deep sea to swim. When you look at the structure of public service, I look at civil servants. The political servants who go into the civil service are backed by very experienced civil servants. You've got the chief directors, you've got people who have been there for years with a lot of experience. But when we throw in these political servants, as I call them, to head organizations, some of these organizations are, like I said, the principles and characteristics of business, doesn't matter whether it's public or private. So some of these organizations are organizations that are huge, multi-million or multi-billion-dollar organizations. And in the private sector, before you go on to head some of these organizations, you find out that you need experience sometimes to head maybe $10 million organizations. You probably need 10 years experience to head, certainly to head a billion-dollar organization in the private sector. You probably need 20 years experience to be a CEO. That would be part of what is required of you. So if we're going to go that route, we have to equip them properly, because a CEO, unlike a minister, doesn't have that support. You are thrown in, there's no support at all. You have to run the whole organization.
Right. So let's draw in a bit on your experience. We know that you have entered into 2 key partnerships with the public sector. Your digitalization for NLA lotteries, and then also automation of premix field distribution. Talk to us about what you thought made those partnerships a success. How did you leverage technology to be able to achieve that level of success?
I mean, when I take NLA, for example, we came in at a time that it wasn't doing well. The solutions they were proffering were solutions that would work, because NLA approached us not for digitalization, to fund their kiosk program. And we thought that this was a dying program. So you could tell that the vision, they had even misunderstood what was required of them. They were expanding, they were against technology, basically. So we came in and said, look, we could transform the fortunes of NLA with technology. I don't think anyone believed that, because in Ghana, the lottery sector, certainly when I was growing up, was an area, I would say, reserved for drunkards and people. I mean, it was for the low class, basically, in society. So you see people standing around the kiosk. So no one thought, including myself, even when we started, that we could digitalize it. But we invested quite a bit of money into it. We put in the technology to drive that, and we've made a success out of that. Not only have we made a success out of it, we happen to be the largest digital lottery operator in Africa. When we started with the NLA, our revenue in Ghana accounted for about 90%. Now our revenue in Ghana accounts for about 30-40% of what we do. We are the largest also digital provider for Ivory Coast in Nigeria, 6 other African countries, negotiating now with Kenya and Namibia and 3 other countries. So from a base of Ghana, we have expanded so much into Africa.
And when you started here in Ghana, they didn't believe you could do it. Is that correct?
No one believed that it could be done. So no one wanted to put any money in. Our relationship with NLA is based on just basically, okay, you can do it. NLA are regulators as well as operators, so you get the license, go and do it, and give us some of the revenue that comes out. We want a fixed revenue because we don't think it's going to work. So we started off mentioning figures. We started off with 0, and we were supposed to pay them a license fee of $6 million, which we did the first 2 months. I think we made 62,000 cedis. So that's from the low base that we started this.
So essentially, that partnership has made the NLA more profitable.
It has. And what it has also helped them with is the cutting out all the illegal operation, because technology has a way of transforming these sectors. So instead of setting up lotto courts and that, they don't do that anymore because technology has solved most of those issues.
And then there is also the project with the automation of premix field distribution. Tell us about that story and what we could learn from that partnership.
With the premix, it's the same thing. We came in with the premix sector, which had a lot of corruption. Governments were subsidizing that sector to the value of about $40 million a year, and it was going to waste, basically. The government had tried funding this for the automation of the sector. Didn't have the technology, didn't have the money. So what do? What we have is we come in with the technology, we come in also with the funding. So they approached us that, look, we need to do this project, but we don't have the money and we don't have the technology. You have the technology. In driving PPPs, what we do also is we bring in other partners, because most of these ones you can't do alone. When I go back to the PPP of the lottery sector, for example, we've worked closely with MTN. We are the largest, we hold the largest customer data in the country. The largest bank, I believe, holds about 400. We hold 7 million. Across the areas that we work, we hold about 50 million. That's Cote d'Ivoire and all that. We hold huge customer data. And we also, I'm just veering off a bit, in terms of the technology that we deploy. Sometimes you come in, we've worked closely, like I said, with the telcos, especially MTN, to upgrade systems that can take that load and the technology that is deployed, bearing in mind that the technology that is deployed in Africa is not the same technology that's deployed outside. So they are proprietary systems that we use. Coming back to the premix sector as well, it's the same thing that we've done. We bring in also local players, because these are construction, not only technology, they are construction involved, so we have to bring in experts in construction. We're constructing 300 premix stations, we're automating them, and like I said, the government didn't have money, so how do they pay for this? They pay for this by basically the savings that they make from the corruption, savings from the corruption over a period of 10 years. So we spread the cost over 10 years. I don't think there are a lot of companies that would be prepared to wait for 10 years for their money, and also when the money is not guaranteed by government, but it is through surcharge debits or a build up on the fuel price for the fisher folks.
It would sound like the public sector needs the PPPs a lot more. But much more than who will benefit most from PPPs, tell us how significant it is for the private sector, the public sector to collaborate in order to ensure continuous economic growth.
I think, like I said before, the public sector really is not structured to get into this. I think the president asked a question once, right, that how can GIHOG sell alcohol and make losses? And you ask the question, how can anyone deal in lottery and make losses? But NLA was for years not paying winnings and that. So is GIHOG. So the answer to the president is maybe you sell GIHOG or franchise it to Casapreco or some of those private sector operators, and they will turn it into profitable ventures. And if you look at the structure also of these public service organizations, in most organizations, commercial organizations, one of the things that you find out with these public sector ones is that their wage bills are very high, very high. Because if you look at KGL Group's wage structure, or the wage bill as a percentage of revenue or profit, it's about between 15 and 25%. Compared to NLA, it's about 90%. How can you run, and it's across all public sector organizations. I think the Minister of Finance or Mr. Sektekwe is here, he will probably tell us that 70% plus of the receipts goes into compensation, and that you cannot run any organization if 70% of your income goes into compensation, because you have to make room for research and development, which we are doing. The technology that we are deploying at NLA today is not the technology that will be deployed tomorrow. So we are aware of that. You might have an agreement with them for 10 years or whatever it is. Forget about that agreement. Anyone who has the next technology, right, will be the one who will be running it. And that's to answer your question about these savings and that. They don't have enough money to do any investment at all. Public sector organizations don't. So
it's important for the government to make it easier for the private sector to want to collaborate with the public sector.
Yes.
But, you know, having been through the experience already, the journey of a PPP, 2 of them, you say, what can the government do to make it easier for private sector who are gathered here to find PPPs an important outlet for their investments?
I think the government would have to, there should be that willpower. They would basically want to do it, because some of these things, like I look at some of these organizations, right, they are just avenues of creating employment rather than fulfilling their mission, why they were created. Henley was created to raise funding and also good causes and that, but they are not. So the government should be prepared to go back to the table and say, look, this is the reason why we created these public sector organizations, and we believe that they can partner the private sector to do better.
Part of the private sector will reside outside the country, and you are a very devoted advocate of diaspora and engagement for economic development. We also have, on the other hand, a government that is hoping to run a 24-hour economy, and if we want to expand, then businesses like those seated here and those outside the country who hope to bring in their money will be very crucial to that development. So let's talk about diaspora and engagement and its importance to our bid for economic expansion via the 24-hour economy. What are the opportunities available for diasporans? You yourself, a diasporan who returned. Talk to us about that journey.
Diasporan issues are very, very close to my heart. A lot of the enterprises in Africa and other parts of the world is being powered by diasporans. We have always advocated for diasporan inclusion. One of the things that I have done in the last 25 years was Ghana had these laws on their books, and we have been trying to get those amended. We've been successful at amending the constitution to get diasporans included in certain aspects of our socio-political life. Because before, when you were a diasporan, you couldn't vote, you weren't even allowed to be a dual citizen. We fought for that, engaged government. I think it was during Kufuor's time that was amended, because you cannot exclude one of the greatest assets that you have, the diasporans. And if I put it in terms of financial, the diasporans contribute unofficially. I think they bring in something like about $8 billion in remittances and other things, right? And FDI, because I chaired GIPC board. I was on the board for 8 years, and we could hardly bring in $2 billion of FDI. But these diasporans were bringing in unofficially or officially about $4 to $5 billion
in remittances.
In remittances, not only in remittances, because when you talked about what can the government do in terms of the diaspora is not a homogeneous group. They are different. They need different things. Their needs are different. I categorize the investment they bring into about 4 main areas. There's the remittances, which helps local communities and our grandfathers and that. Then there is diaspora direct investment. People like myself who have come from the diaspora invested directly into the economy by establishing companies and that. Then there's also the diaspora portfolio investor who sits in London, New York, Germany, and sends money to invest in portfolio items like bonds and that. Then also there's the philanthropic investor who sends money for the local community, building schools and that. In order to bring all these diasporans back home, you don't have to come back home, but you have to engage in economic activity back home, is the government has to create a policy, a diaspora engagement policy, to look at how we can attract these diasporans in back home.
Madam Kemini,
are we out of time?
This is where Big Brother says you have 1 minute remaining.
1 minute. Let's give you your last word then on the diaspora. Top 3 lessons that you think that business people, investors in the diaspora, in the local economic community could learn from your journey so far as a business owner who started from scratch, a wholly owned Ghanaian business, and having done these public PPPs, successful ones at that. Top 3 lessons.
I think it's I am a living example of how well a diasporan could do in Ghana. Having said that, not be sounding too arrogant, I worked at the highest level in London. When I say the highest level, I mean, I was probably one of the 1% high earners in the United Kingdom. And my message when I go out to the diasporans, because sometimes you get, whether it's political or business leaders come here and trying to attract them, those who earn some good money will turn around and say, oh, why do we go back home? I work in the city of London, Wall Street and that. But I'm a living example of someone who earned back, and I always make the story. I tell them that it is better in Ghana than it is where we've been. And lastly, so that is one reason why you should come. The opportunities are immense. The opportunities, so are the challenges. But we've gone through those challenges. The buses, there are no buses to run on time, the electricity and that. But this is Ghana. Huge opportunities, and any diasporan listening to that, I would say, look at what I've been able to create here, and come join us in Ghana.
Huge opportunities, he says. Thank you so much for talking to us.
Ladies and gentlemen, a round of applause. Chairman Alex Dade in conversation with Kemini Amano, and certainly all is set now for that big conversation on, ladies and gentlemen, setting the agenda for Ghana's economic reset, pathways to business transformation and governance. Would you please make welcome the following: Engineer Edward Obing Kenzo, Madame Estelle Akofio-Sowa, Mr. David Ofosu-Dorte, Mr. Mohamed Samara, Professor Peter Korte, Darlington Akogo, Mr. Castor Fredland, Dr. Humphrey Ayim Dake, Madame Angela Shermating-Jimo, Mr. Michael Buzumbil, the Honorable Seth Tekbe, Mr. Simon Maji, Mr. George Ankuma, and the moderator, Mr. Samuel Amano, CEO, Blue Space Africa. A round of applause as they all come up.
I don't think we have enough chairs for everyone. Please join me. Yeah. It's Aisha around. We will probably have to break. We probably have to break this into 2 parts. Hi, Kirsten. How are you? Okay. Do we have enough? Mr. Tekbe? Okay. There's one more. Yeah, we need one more chair. Please. Yeah. Whew. This is the most difficult job I've ever gotten in my life. Can you please give them a round of applause? Oh my God. Oh, sure. Yes. Wow. You will never find this in Davos. Ghana is very innovative. We know how to have conversation at scale. My name is Sam Amano. I'm the founder CEO for Blue Space Financial Cloud. We build financial systems for the banking sector, insurance sector, mobile money sector across Africa. We connect regional blocks. We connect banks and their customers. And we're very honored to be here. Well, I'm honored to be here. I don't know how I'm going to do this. Can you all say a prayer for me, please? The quest to find the best pathway for economic reset is the challenge of almost all African nations. The question has been, we have the resources, we have the policy frameworks, we have everything. So how come the government and the private sector and the public sector are continuously struggling to grow the economies? So these brains here have all the answers from the public sector experts to the private sector experts, the technology experts, and then the professors. So I'll pass the mic to the senior most, Honorable Tekper, to introduce himself, say a few words, and then I'll pass the baton to the rest of the panelists. And we're going to go deep into what the hack is. I'm a tech guy, so we want to find out what's the hack to unlock growth for Ghana. So, Honorable, over to you, sir.
Yeah, I'm Satekwe, former Minister for Finance under the first His Excellency Mahama's administration, and now advisor to the President on the economy. And so I'm in the presidency at the moment.
Give him a round of applause. Economic advisor to the current government.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. I am Simon Manji. I'm the acting CEO for the Ghana Investment Promotion Center. Thank you.
Ghana Investment Promotion, Mr. Simon, thank you for coming.
Hello, I'm Darlington Akogo, founder, CEO of Mino Health AI Labs, but also the technical lead for Ghana's national AI strategy. Happy to be here.
We can't do without AI. Thank you, Darlington. Mr. Benzo.
My name is Edward Eko Obenkenzo, the acting chief executive of Volta River Authority. Thank you.
Can you hear him? There's a lady there who couldn't hear you.
My name is Edward Eko Obenkenzo, the acting chief executive of Volta River Authority.
Volta River Authority. This is the guy that makes your power work. So, Mr. Kwarteng.
My name is Peter Kwarteng. I am an economist and also the director of ISA, one of the leading think tanks in Africa. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
I am Michael Bozombil, CEO of Petrosol Platinum Energy, a privately owned indigenous oil marketing company that is driven entirely on values. We're a company that believes that we must deliver fuel and energy products to consumers on the basis of value, not just money. And so we run over 100 fuel stations across the country, and we continue to expand to communities as we go along. Thank you.
My name is Estelle Akofio-Soa. I'm C-Squared's West Africa Regional Director. We're a wholesale open access infrastructure provider. And the female representative on the panel.
Hi everyone, my name is Carsten Friedland. I work for SAP for the last 23 years. I'm a product manager. I worked in R&D and product incubation. And my specific focus is in agriculture and more specifically on smallholder farming. And we develop digital tools for this area, and I'm happy to talk about that. Nice meeting you.
Thank you, Carsten.
Hello, my name is George Ankuma. I'm a tax partner with Deloitte Ghana. I lead the tax and regulatory services as a lead partner. Thank you.
Excellent. So we have the tax guy, we have the tech person, and a tech lady, and then a petroleum expert, private sector, and a professor, power generation, AI, investment mobilization expert, and then a policy lord. Let's give him a round of applause. It's going to be quite exciting. I'll start with the lady first. Estelle, you've been in this country, you've done quite a bit of work. We know what you're good at, what you're really, really good at, and I know you have the hack to solve Ghana's growth and its economic reset. What can you say about how technology is impacting this reset that we're faced with?
Yeah, thank you. Was that the question I was asked to answer?
Yes.
Prepared for that one. So, I mean, I think everyone here knows that technology's role cuts across all sectors and is critical to our development. We've already heard it today from Moses was speaking earlier. The president himself touched on the importance of technology. Obviously, We have a huge gap, especially on the infrastructure front. I think across the continent, there's about $170 billion that we need to fund the infrastructure.
170?
$170 billion. And I know we clapped for the CD earlier on, and now it's just times 10, right? It's really easy for us non-mathematical people. So maybe we want it to stay there or we want it to go lower. I see the room is divided. So, I mean, that's the gap. And one of the things that I would say is critical is especially around our development partners who have often funded this infrastructure across the continent. I hope they realize now that the best person to give the funding to or the best entities are the private sector, right? Obviously working in partnership with governments and not to continue to give to our governments. Would be one suggestion that I have for our development partners. Invest in the private sector. That's when, if it's meant to build 100 kilometers of fiber, we will know where the fiber is, we will be able to access it, it will be maintained and it will be used. Unlike what across the continent, we've seen a lot of digital infrastructure, funding going to governments, and it doesn't get used, it doesn't get maintained, and we have to pay the taxes to pay back the loans.
We heard earlier, MTN invested over $1 billion into digital infrastructure. And you were saying we need more money.
Oh, we need much more
money. But the credit systems in Ghana for private investment is not going too well for us. Maybe, Simon, you could help us a bit to understand what's happening in attracting FDI into areas like technology or some of the other infrastructure areas you're focused on.
All right, thank you very much. You know, naturally, Ghana is a favorable place for many businesses. And so the expectation is that we are going to continue on that trajectory. His Excellency, the President, did mention that he wants Ghana to become a hub for attracting FDI in the financial and tech sector. But also significantly is the processes that are being put in place to ensure we do that. So one, as many of you are aware, the President did mention and in his 120-day contract that he's going to review the Ghana Investment Promotion Law. It's in anticipation to take away some of the issues that investors have complained about. So that's one component of it. The President also mentioned that we are open for business. And in the light of being open for business, we want to ensure that everybody is aware of where the opportunities are. And there are significant opportunities across the country that investors can take advantage of it. We do have a vibrant Bank of Ghana as a good regulator for those that are in the fintech. And there's also the growing demand for fintech service across the country. The President, in the run-up to the election, did promise of a 50 million fintech fund to help emerging people.
We have the money now, or?
Well, my senior colleague in government is here. He's an answer to that. But I can reiterate to you the importance of what has been said by His Excellency. And over time, I consider that will be done. And so that will be a great addition to what we have. But what's important is that we have a young, vibrant society where people are innovative. And that's what is encouraging, a lot more innovation. And we also encourage those who have the resources to invest to look our way, to come into partnership with Ghanaians to invest across board, be it technology or financial services or manufacturing or even infrastructure on the PPP level.
Have we closed any major deals like what we saw in Qatar and Saudi for Ghana? Have we done a similar kind of deal structures?
Well, major deals take time. There are major interests, but major deals take time. And, Mr. Adade was former chair of GIPC. It takes some time to close some of these deals, to have an agreement and sign it off. But what I can say is there's significant interest in Ghana, and so many investors are interested in investing in Ghana. So what I would say to the Ghanaian businesses is for them to be prepared for the kind of partnership that will be required to do business with those who want to work in Ghana.
Awesome, awesome. I'll pass the baton to Mr. Tekbe. A lot of excitement in this new government because there's this feeling there's some fiscal responsibility that is booming or looming, let me say that. Do you feel this is the plan, or is just a way for politicians to just wow us once they come in, then everything will go back to business as normal. Because I've heard on the street, MPP, NDC, they're all the same. Is there any distinct difference in the policy framework to create growth?
I think you can look to the history, because when you talk about fiscal discipline, you will agree with me that going into 2016, we did create a gift list. Gift list simply means that and it's good we're talking electronics here, every government transaction started to be processed, what we call the warrants, electronically. And when you do that electronically, it's easier to control both the sequence and the flows, the quantum. We created a contract database, which for the first time gave us about 95 to 98% sight of contracts awarded by sector ministries, and the rest. We created a treasury single account, which in fact has been repeated and is one of the reasons for the drop in the interest.
That's a new
rate.
Policy activation?
I'm saying that it's a reenactment of a policy that, was stopped, just like the sinking fund, as mentioned, was stopped and led to. So I must say that Ghana has become a lower middle income country on the back of a growing services sector, on the back of oil in particular. We catapulted 5 years ahead, right? 2010. We were supposed to be a middle income country, either 2020, those who remember Vision 2020, or 2015.
Has that materialized though?
The point I want to make more importantly is that if we manage to bring in the ENI salaries back, if we get, and we have 3 oil fields, if we get 4, 5, 6 oil fields, Ghana will become an upper middle income country.
So in the next 3 years, 2 years, give us some timelines when this could be realized.
Well, it could be faster. That's the point I'm making. Depends on how fast you move. And Excellency has said the discussions and whatever himself to get them back. But the point is, as he mentioned, since the development of the domestic bond market, which was at the Bank of Ghana, but was put to the stock exchange, he mentioned, we were able to do a $200 million US denominated bond, right, to target self-financing projects that can finance them itself.
So you're saying we could actually raise the money domestically?
I am saying that had we not defaulted, had we made, because the issue is sustainability of policies, had we made these policies to be sustained, 500 million for fintech, which sector can pay back the loan? Government can go for the money, give it, but the
So I want to double click on this, right, because you're saying if these policies are sustained, is there a framework to continue displacing the policies of the other party and the new party? Is there a stability framework we could put in place so that good policies that are voted in parliament doesn't get displaced in the future governments that are coming in? Because then the private sector are going to suffer.
At the risk of repeating what His Excellency, said, when we set up the sinking fund, the first debt that we started paying down was not debt that we took. It was the first sovereign bond because it was interest only. And we set it up, frankly, in 2014, 2015, the sinking fund by capping the stabilization fund, because within 3 years, 2017, had we won, we would have looked for 750 million. Know that you are likely to have defaulted. We managed to pay 300 million. We refinanced 200 million, making 550 million, 350 million, and left 200 million, which was used on due date, October 4th, right, to pay off the balance. Can you imagine, therefore, that if you had continued, right, and the sinking fund was projected, over a period of 15 years to pay off, to pay down the debt that we took. You can go to the market and buy back, which is what we did. So
excellent.
I'm saying that
I want you to, if we sustain that, right? So let's give him a round of applause, because this is very difficult to do in the political sector, to maintain policies and all of that. Let's go back to power, right? Estelle mentioned technology cuts across all sectors. I also believe power cuts across all sectors. And then there's a third pillar, which is AI, which is also going to cut across all sectors. So I'll go to Mr. Benzo. You're a big boss. You're in the middle of this big chair. How is the future power requirements? First of all, do we have excess power in Ghana to sustain the private sector and the industrialization that started in the previous government? Do we have enough power to power the next 4 or 5 years of development aspirations, agro-processing, and all these other economic areas that the government is focusing on?
Thank you. There are two folds of answer to the question you've asked me. As we sit, I would say we have enough power. Come the end of this year, next year, we'll be exhausting the installed capacity we have as a nation. And so if you say that we are resetting the economy of this country, then I would say that we need a very secured energy supply. As a country, if we don't really take bold decisions to improve the infrastructure of energy in this country, then all the objectives, goals that we are looking at, we cannot achieve it, because energy is the enabler for economic growth, and it should also be affordable, it should be sustainable to allow the economy to grow. So if we are not having this strategy in place and taking these bold decisions to improve the energy base of this country, then I tell you, come.
How much power do we need? Do you have any ideas? Rough figures.
With the growth that we are looking at about 200 megawatt, 300 megawatt every year, in addition to the energy that is needed. We all say that we want to go into the data mining. And for the data mining, we'll need about 50% of the installed energy at the moment to make sure the data is reliable for it to be used. So I would say that there should be an ambition of moving to almost 10,000 megawatt of installed generation. And as we say, we have about 5,000 plus, so which we need about
so by next year, we have to be moving into some drastic investments to grow these capacity requirements.
Yes, by next year, we cannot get next year at least minimum for financial closure, getting everything in place, we need a minimum of 3 years. So come 2028, I believe we should get about 1,000 megawatt installed capacity to take our installed generation to about 6,000 megawatt to allow us to achieve the economic reset that we are looking at. If not, I tell you, it will be very difficult. And
so is this some form of warning for the ecosystem? Because this is very serious, right? We only have 2 years left, basically, to meet these capacity gaps. I would like to shift to Darlington, once you finish, to look at how much AI is going to drain, or this upcoming data center is going to drain on these power requirements. Because AI is also going to be very, very paramount to everything we're doing. Is this a warning?
Yes, it is a warning. The energy planning of the state should be taken very seriously. Just coming from a trip and an industry, a single industry of a country's installed capacity is twice what we have as a country. Then you can see that we are joking. A smelter in Dubai is about 6,000 megawatts installed capacity. And that is only the A part of the smelter. If you add the B part, it's almost 10,000 megawatts installed capacity for a smelter. And if you take a state and your installed capacity is only 5,000, you can see that we are not really pushing the agenda to grow this economy. And energy is very, very critical. It's the enabler for it. Without energy, I tell you, we should forget about whatever we are talking about. And it should be affordable. And being affordable, which means that the government has to create that enable environment to have those affordable energy, to allow the industries to come in to invest and also to grow the economy. Without that, then I tell you, they also go look for countries where the energy is a bit affordable for them to invest and grow the economy. So the key word, it should be affordable and it should be sustainable. So I think the state should take that bold decision and drive that agenda. So that is what I would like to.
Thank you so much, Mr. Benzo. Darlington, how does this connect to what you're working on? And then the overall AI strategy, I think it's great that Honorable Sam George and team have put this strategic focus on AI to make sure that Ghana becomes a hub. I was just in Dubai last 2 weeks, and they are moving ahead. You saw what Trump is doing as well. South Africa, Nigeria, they're all moving very aggressively. So if we don't have money and we don't have power, how are we going to be part of this AI boom?
Yeah, so I'll be a bit provocative and say that what we need to do. Hello. Okay, so I'll be a bit provocative and say what we need to do is prioritize AI over the usual commodities that we usually prioritize. So I'm talking about literally putting AI over gold, oil, and cocoa, right? The reason why I'm saying this, so whilst we're working on the national AI strategy, serving as a technical lead, I decided to become an economist over the weekend. So I looked at the numbers, right? The projection by the likes of PwC is that serious countries that are seriously leveraging AI would be able to grow their GDP by up to 26% in the year 2030. If you do the calculation in Ghana, what that means is that we can add $20 billion to our GDP by 2030. If you look at how much we currently get from gold, oil, and cocoa, the highest being gold, which gave us about 7 billion. The rest is about 1 billion. So if you're looking at it purely from a number point of view, none of these sectors are going to give us the returns we would potentially get in AI. And so from an economic analysis point of view, for lack of better words, it makes no sense why we shouldn't prioritize AI over all these other industries. And prioritizing it means we need to do a number of things. We need to invest in AI. So one of the things we are looking at is the creation of an AI fund. You should be spending at least, say, $1 billion, a 5-year fund that is investing in growing capacity, investing more in energy, making sure we're able to accumulate the data we need, and invest in the startup ecosystem. So